Scotty, beam me up.
Captains, we are back on the bridge. Hello. As you can see, they're already there. They can see each other, but they're not going to, you can't hear them just yet. I've silenced them. Not silenced them, that's probably... Answer, you just have to do that. Captains, hopefully everyone's okay. Goofball! Hello, how's it going? Hope she's looking forward to the show. Ali, Haki, how's it going? Master Dude! Waldo, Sarcasm, hello sir, behind the bar. David Lee. What I missed? Dwayne. Who else is here? Universa, hello, 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 hello. Salute to you, Caps. All right, we know what we're in for today, Caps. Yeah, just for now. They can see them, but just for now. So we know what we're gonna do, Captain. So we have a lot to go over here when it comes to this guy is the reason Admiralty. Spencer. Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to say thank you. Thumbturn, hello, how's it going? Captains, I can't get my restream chat working because I'm just a boomer. So we are gonna go over the new content stuff. There may be some things that drop that are not pleasant to hear, but that's okay. We're here to discuss. We're here to just see how we individually feel, and then captains, feel free to chime in. But let's get everyone here.
I don't know if it's my internet or not, but I know in the past when I've had video on, it's, you know.
We're live.
And that's Gauss. Hi, Gauss.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Spencer, thank you for that resub, sir.
Interesting behind-the-scenes stuff.
There was.
No problem, Tris.
McStud, Spencer, Gauss, hello, hello again. It's been a while since we've done this.
Hello to everyone out there. Thanks for tuning in.
2 months, actually, since the last one we did, but we've all been busy. I know, Gauss, you've had you were actually one of the next ones up for our one-on-one, but you got a new job, and congrats on that. Hopefully that's going well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd still love to do the one-on-one also, and I'm glad the Avengers were able to assemble tonight. You know.
I showed I put a GIF in the chat here saying it is time from the Lion King, the monkey from Lion King, and then with the Avengers assembling there. They got it. They got the call. But no, I know it's been we've all been busy with stuff. IRL, myself, even just the last 2 months have been kind of a blur. Martin, Thumbturn again, how's it going, Gaps? So the circle of life, right, Master Dude? So again, a lot of things going on. So before we start, though, I'm gonna go kind of in order of what I see here on my screen. We're gonna start with McStud. Anything that you'd like to mention first before we get going here with the Crap Fest? I mean, what?
No, other than hello and how is everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a great afternoon.
Vince?
The
One
Courier
an hour.
Vandy shield up on the exchange for 190 mil. If someone could go buy that so I could gamble, that'd be greatly appreciated. Yeah, 190. It's a steal. It's a steal. Yeah, 190 mil. Support the gambling. It's 5 mil more expensive than the other ones, but enable the gamble.
It's coming down to
value added. You know, you gotta buy it from a minor celebrity.
You could sell it right now for 150.
I need DC. I gotta gamble.
He's itching. Gosser?
I'd just like to say that I'm not dead. You know, I haven't put out a video in a while, but I'm still here.
Yes, we knew he was actually, like I said, Caps. He was next, but then work. But that's okay. Again, thanks, Caps, for joining us. So we have things to discuss here, and it's not necessarily going to be in any order. We're just going to let it go wherever it goes, just like usually what we've had, but we do have some bullet points here. So I'm going to start just with a general, and then we'll get into the individual sort of parts of that general. So we're going to start with myself. I'm just going to go over the new content positives and negatives. So positive-wise, if anything, I enjoyed the featured episode. Now, I did play it on the first day, I did not run into, I was hesitant, but I didn't run into the invisible wall thing. Now, when it came to the actual voiceovers, I think they did great. Spoiler alert, for those who haven't done it, essentially everyone here in this Discord. But I think Will killed it, in my opinion. I think Will.
Who? I haven't played the new story mission yet.
Jeez.
Shut
Hilly.
up, Wesley.
Yeah. Well, in this universe, he shuts you up. And of course, Lita. I think it was great. I kind of figured out that they weren't going to do the whole, or they're going to rip the ground mission part from that to do the TFO. But Spencer, stop that. Stop it.
Viewer request from multiple viewers in chat that I put the appropriate background up.
It was like one. Okay, I can see chat.
They want it. Accept what the viewers want.
Jeez.
They're all Dragon Ball fans. It's not.
He's just powering up there. Is that what's happening? With Elmo right behind him? That doesn't look too good.
Mr. Satan. It's just.
That doesn't look too good, but so the featured episodes, or the featured episode, I liked a lot. I didn't hit the sort of bugs that came with it. The SRO thing, awesome. Haven't done it yet. The Pendever system, it's a good and bad for me, but the positive is I'm done. That's what I get. But I do know that that was a feature and something they're going to kill. But overall,
Did you have enough points saved up?
I did. It's actually maxed out right now, 150.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I didn't know if anyone had enough, but it sounded like you were ready to go.
I was about to use them, but then we'll get into that later, because I'm sure that's going to make everyone happy with
these people with their 750 Endeavor tokens, man. Stu, they're driving me nuts.
But
I hear you.
But overall, I can't say that it was an A+. I'd have to grade it, if anything. Like, I'm feeling like a C+, if anything. But McStud, how about you, sir?
Overall, with the exception, and I'm sure we'll get into this in a little bit, with the way that they went about nerfing items in the game, I don't really have anything negative to say. I mean, let me take that back. There's nothing that I'm taking negatively for myself. There's things I'm not interested in. There's things I think that are overpriced, that they added to the fleets, things like that. I'm just not going to buy them, so it's not a big deal. Pretty pumped about the SROs, actually extremely pumped. And I think that's the only thing that kind of blunted my fury earlier this week. I haven't played the new missions yet. I'll get around to that here at some point, but I haven't played the new mission or the new TFO. The new ship that they are giving out with the current event, I bought it out on my main account because I wanted to check it out, make videos and stuff on it. I think it's great, especially for free. So that's awesome. So overall, I mean, with the exception of the way they went about nerfing some of these items, I don't have any problem with what they've released, and some of it I'm pretty pumped about.
Awesome. Spence?
This entire update has left me very disappointed. I haven't touched the new story mission or the TFO. I don't care about them. But what this, everything surrounding the events of this release and the reaction from the developers, some of the statements that they have made in private, has taken whatever little bit of confidence that I still had in the systems or QA team and just made it disappear. Their QA team has revealed just their level of incompetence, and the systems team has largely done the same with how they have went about some of the changes that they went about doing with this update. The art people do a good job. It's just the systems team and QA really screw them over.
Agreed. Mr. Gauss?
So I also haven't played the new story mission. Normally I would have by now. I've just been really busy with work and real life. But I'm looking forward to it because it has Will Wheaton, and he seems like a really cool guy in real life, and like he's a nerd's nerd. You know what I mean? So, and there's obviously other returning people, and I think it's great that they have the relationship they do with CBS, and they're able to get the original cast from the TV shows to come back and reprise their roles. So it is one of the high points of the missions is that you get the voice acting from the original cast. So the bug reports and the fact that I haven't had a lot of time has kind of scared me away for now. But I am looking forward to it, and so at least in terms of the story missions, I don't have much to say about it right now, but yeah, I'm happy they got Will Wheaton though. That does make me happy. Some people were like, well, maybe it'll be Patrick Stewart. I mean, obviously that would have been great, but they're not going to get Patrick Stewart. He's got other things to do.
Yeah, he's got some things to do. So, well, thank you for that. Again, I'm just going to answer just a quick question here. Some of the mud ships in the store there, I'm not really too happy for myself personally, because I do have some of them, and or the ones I want, I have them already. But that's usually going to depend behind the bar with bartender on how you play and what you're going to use the ships for. So if you're a ship collector, then I mean that's going to be relatively, sort of up to you if that's something you want to get. If there was one bundle that I was going to probably get, it was the Kelvin one, but I was like, I don't really need it because I can only really fly one ship at a time anyway. So, right. So, this content drop, I've seen a lot of people pissed off, and I think we'll start with the consoles. Let's just get it over with, because it was already mentioned, and so I'm gonna let more of the experts talk on this. So Mixed, go ahead. I'll chime in after.
Okay, so I made a video on this. I talked about it on the live stream as well, and I'm continuing to try and refine, I guess, how to put it. But I guess the best way would be just to give an example against another game when something needs to be balanced. Because let's be clear, there are things that need to be balanced. These consoles, I think, probably needed to be balanced and adjusted. So it's not so much what made me upset. But for instance, in World of Warships and many other games, but in particular, World of Warships, if you have a premium ship, and let's say there's some imbalance issues, they announced that months and months in advance that they're going to be evaluating these and doing balancing. They start to look into them, test them. That's all public information. They start telling us what they're going to do to these ships, how they're going to change the armor profiles, the ballistics, all of those kinds of things. There's feedback. There's all these different, processes in place. And that's probably really the main issue is process, right? But then those changes come into game, and then they do an evaluation after it's been out for a month or so and make any final tweaks. If you own one of those ships prior to those adjustments being made, it's no questions asked. You can just get your money back for them and buy something else, or just get your money back for it. And it's not even like you have to ask. There's like a button for it. It's just built in, and I'd asked my wife, she plays Fortnite, and I said, hey, if you got, a skin, it was real popular, or you just really liked it and they changed that skin a couple months later, how'd you feel about that? And her response was, well, they have done that a couple times, and you could just get a refund if you wanted to. Like there wasn't even a question, like, because in what it speaks to is that these companies understand they're selling you a product and they're having to go change it after the fact. And whether it needed to be changed or didn't need to be changed doesn't really matter. But they're approaching it, from the standpoint that you're a customer, you're a client, and you've spent hard-earned money with them, and they're having to change the product that you agreed to buy from them. And so they have that empathy, that understanding, and along with that, is offered a refund, no questions asked. I mean, it's just built in. And I think, so when you compare that to what we see in Stowe, which is I don't even want to say the opposite. I mean, it's non-existent. The acknowledgement of, this could be a bummer for you, or you saved up $30, you don't have a lot of money, and you used your birthday money to buy something that is then changed, 2 days later or something like that. That's a really crappy place to be in. And so I really want to kind of just bypass the fact that they had to adjust it, nerf it, whatever, and we can talk about the details of that. Was it nerfed too much and all of that kind of thing, but let's just forget about that whole thing. I mean, the fact that, the attitude is like, well, why are you guys complaining? These things have to be done. And I don't feel like we're treated like paying customers when it comes to these kinds of things. There's no empathy. There's no, hey guys, I know this sucks, I'm sorry, this needed to be done. And and have an engagement, that they at least understand why people might be upset. It's really like the attitude that I hear from the devs on the streams that I've seen them on since then is, what's that console everybody's complaining about? I mean, it's just they just totally missed the whole point. And that's the part for me that bothers me. That's the issue. It's not the fact that they nerfed it, they balanced it, or whatever it may be. It's the disconnect in the way that they view their customers, which is what we are. I don't feel like they view me as a customer. I don't know how they do, but that is really my problem with these consoles. I mean, we can have a separate discussion about how they nerfed them. I mean, because they basically, I guess when you put that on top of it, it makes it worse, right? Because they didn't balance them. They basically made it to where you should just delete them off your ship, right? Which makes that whole previous thing I just went on and on about, even more, worse, because it wasn't even a minor change or an adjustment. It literally made it not worth using whatsoever for the most part. And when you look at a ship like, the weather control ship, that ship's been out for 2 years. I'm assuming they knew before, Sunday that they were going to make some adjustments to that. Why wasn't that in, the known issues for the last couple months? It's been out for years, not to mention they added it to the Mud store, and it's astronomical. I mean, Nick bought the ship just for the console, when they had first added that. He spent $100, and he literally, you could just light that $100 on fire, because that console is not worth using in any way, shape, or form. It's not like they tweaked it and it's just not OP now. It is garbage, not worth using. So I've gotten comments on some of the videos like, boo-hoo, high DPSers, this, that. And again, I mean, that kind of misses the whole point of my complaint. My issue is the process that's in place for handling and executing these kinds of things, in terms of, number one, doing a good job at actually making the adjustments, but even more importantly, the community engagement and the way that they communicate. I mean, this stuff just popped out of nowhere, and I was extra upset about it because I had just used one of my event tokens on my free-to-play for the Adamant. And the Adamant's a good ship and everything, but that's not why I got it. I got it for that console, and 2 days later, the console is completely worthless. So there's, a year's worth of grinding, or half of that reward gone. Had there been discussion and those kinds of things prior to that, or anything in the known issues, I might have made a different decision. Had I known that was coming, I would have made a different decision. I don't need that ship. I needed that console. And so I would have went a different way. So I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but it just rubs me the wrong way. And it has nothing to do with the quote unquote balancing, even though that's not even really what they did, right? It has to do with the attitude that they project, towards the players. We're not players, we're customers. That we're paying customers, buying products. And the way that whole interaction and lack of process is handled is unacceptable. And it really has me questioning, do I want to put much more money in the game? And it's not like I'm throwing a fit. I just bought out that ship, right? But I don't know that I want to go and buy things that look like they're going to be good for the way that I like to play, and then tomorrow out of nowhere, it's not anymore, and I've just wasted that money.
You okay?
He's mad.
I'm getting warm.
You mad, bro?
What? Don't add us, Spence?
I think that the way that they went about this was quite scummy, especially when we talk about the weather control science vessel. They, that was out for 2 years, like Stu said there, over 2 years. they knew how it performed. You know, if they had used it at all internally when they were developing it, if their QA had used it at all, you know, if they tested it, they would have known how it worked. If they had used it at all, you know, they would have known. And 2 years later, they know that it's a very popular console. It's being used on a ton of science builds. They add it to the Mud store because it was highly requested and people really wanted to use it. So they add it to the Mud store. They wait for everyone to go out and buy it, and then a couple months later, they, you know, bring out the Nerf bat, and now the performance is reduced by 50%. Had the console been at this new state when it went to Muds, people, you know, quite a few people may not have went out and bought it. So I think that it is really scummy of them to go through and make a change like this after they add it to Muds. They had ample opportunity in that 2-year window to make changes to it, and they did not do so until they got their money out of it. So, not happy about that. The Tholian web spinner was nerfed by 80%, and they spent time to go and nerf the damage that the console did, yet they didn't take the time to fix the issue with the damage boost that you're supposed to get against targets that are held. That has been an issue now for the last, 18 months since that console came out? 16, 18 months, something like that. They didn't take the time to fix that part of the console. Instead, they just went in, saw that it was doing or heard that it was doing a lot of damage, and they decided to hit it and reduce the damage it does by 80%. Not happy about that, but at least they didn't add that to Muds before they did the nerf there for that. Whole image refractors, I don't know, you know, really how much of a performance impact that has had for people using that console. But obviously Agony is the big one, and this is where the part I said before about systems and QA being a bit incompetent comes into play. So they have completely neutered the console. You know, before there was no cap on what it could do, and there was an issue with it in that if two people activated it on the same target at the same time, it would basically insta-kill everything. So they couldn't figure out how to resolve that issue. They were aware of it from the day the console came out. They did not have it in the patch notes, like Stu was saying, as like a known issue. And instead of, you know, figuring it out, they decided to put a damage cap on it. But the issue is the people on the systems team making these decisions and the QA team do not have any idea of what normal damage is from players in the current state of the game. I think some of the people making decisions there haven't touched the game from a player point of view in at least a decade, and they put a damage cap on it of 2,000. That means that the overall total damage the console can do per activation, so once every 2 minutes, is 244k damage. Now, in private, one of the developers, in response to criticism to this, has stated that they think 244k damage is still a lot for a console to do. I would just like to point out that both new consoles that came out with this update, the lockbox, both of them from the lockbox, both do several million damage under the right conditions. So if they think 244k is, you know, a lot of damage, then how did they at the same time go and let two new consoles into the game that are doing exponentially more than that? But yeah, it's quite frustrating.
Can I add in one more thing for Gauss goes? I just want to make the comparison because I get a lot of people that say that they, well, we should have known it was coming and all these different kinds of things. And for someone like myself, I probably should had. I just didn't know when, right? But I guess I just wanted to make the comparison. When they do these things, they're the equivalent of a recall on anything else. And the first thing that happens when you get a recall on anything else is what? They communicate to you. They give you a letter and let you know what's up. So whether they knew, they didn't know, they just found it, whatever it may be, there was zero communication about this stuff happening prior, and it was just done. Somebody could have bought one, you know, that ship from Mud's Market on Sunday for $170 and woke up the next day and they burned that money because there's no communication. Sorry, I didn't mean to take from
No,
your time.
you're fine. I think balance is fine, but definitely communication is something that is very much needed, and I think it's very widely regarded in the community that we do not have good communication at all between the players and the developers. The person in charge of doing that does a questionable job. I'll leave it at that. Gauss, you say your positive thoughts here.
Well, I just think that of all the consoles that got nerfed, the Agony redistributor was obviously, it needed to be nerfed. Like, I don't think anyone disagrees with that. It was doing comedically ridiculous damage. But the other three, like, okay, they were above average performers, but did they actually need to be nerfed? Was it really a problem? Especially since whole image refractors and the Tholian web spinner were like, you know, good consoles for people who weren't putting a lot of money into the game. That feels especially bad to them. Like, everyone here, I think, has either been playing a lot or put some money into the game, so maybe we're not in that same position. But
hold on, Triz, can you boost Gauss's volume up?
Try that.
Probably to maximum.
He's at 100%, so we'll go 115.
let me put my gain up.
I better get
Is that
ready.
a little better?
I have him at 150. Yeah, you're fine for me at 150.
You're fine for me. Hopefully
Okay,
that's a little better.
I have you
So,
at 194.
You know, things being a little bit better than average, not a big problem, I think. You know, only the Agony redistributor was really a big problem. Because it was like, if you didn't have, people always talk about the DPRM. If you don't have DPRM, you can still do huge numbers. It's like, it's a good console, but it's not some insane thing. If you're trying to do ISE and you don't have Agony redistributor before it was nerfed, like, what are you doing? I mean, like, it was just, it was insanely ridiculous. So obviously, like, yeah, it needed to be nerfed. But those other consoles, especially the whole image refractors, and it's like, that wasn't like a damage console, it was more of a survival console. But it's just sort of like, why are you taking that away from people? Like, what was that hurting? You know? Like, a lot of people play this game for Star Trek, but they also play it to have a power fantasy. And it's like, yeah, people are too powerful for the content. So what? That's what they're here for, you know? It's like, the problem with Agony Redistributor is that it was way, way, way too strong for a console. And so it made the build process uninteresting. It overshadowed so many other elements that should have been more powerful in the aggregate than just this one console clicky. And it made the whole, like, a lot of stuff all about just this one console. Whereas it's like, being powerful wasn't the problem. It was that this one thing was way better than it should have been. And, you know I saw your tweet, Spencer, where you're saying, like, well, you know, you were hoping it would have been nerfed less. And but there's so many consoles in the game that do about 2K DPS.
Yeah.
And it's like, if it had been one of those from the beginning, no one would have cared. They would have cared, but they would have said, "Oh, it's another bad console. Add it to the other 70, bad consoles in the game," and we would have just, forgotten about it.
They wouldn't have sold as many ships.
Exactly, and to your point, McStud, the Ryzian weather control ship, it makes me look bad in retrospect, because for months I missed that event. I wasn't playing at that time. And sorry, there's a lot of noise outside.
It's okay.
Come on, people. You can make noise later.
You're good.
I don't know why everyone wants to make noise out the window right when we're doing this. So the Ryzian weather control ship, I wasn't playing at that time. I missed it. And you were saying a minute ago, like, what if someone paid 170 on Sunday and then that money's just burned? And I would say in videos, please put this ship into the Muds market so I can get it. If you'll put it in the Muds market, I'll pay for it. And I did. And so when they did finally put it in Muds market, I bought it. And then they nerfed it. And it's like, that just feels really bad. It feels really, really bad because people didn't want that ship for the ship. They wanted it for the console. And in part, it's because people like us, and me specifically, I'll take the blame here. I'm not trying to implicate you guys. Maybe someone went out and watched one of my videos where I was like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on this when they put it in Mud's Market. So then when Mud's Market showed up, they bought it also. You know what I mean? And it's like, now I feel like I've contributed to that, to other people wasting their money. So it feels really bad. And like, I can absorb that because I have all this other good stuff. So it doesn't really matter. I can just replace it with something else that's good. But if that's one of the only good things you owned, well, now you don't have anything else to replace it with, and you just feel like garbage. And other games aren't like this. You think about, like, Stowe is definitely a gambling game, right? If you go to a casino in real life, they will make you feel good. You get the free drinks. The girls come around and like you get the cheap buffets, and they'll give you if you're spending a lot of money, they'll give you the free hotel rooms and all that. Like, they know how to make you feel good. Like, Stowe is the opposite. They make you feel bad for spending money. It's like really bizarre that they're so bad at
Stockholm
this.
syndrome is what it is.
And other games, like you were saying, they telegraph it in advance. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. How many months has it been since the Agony redistributor came out and everyone knew it was broken? Or how many months or years has it been since the Rysian weather control ship was going? It's not like, okay, well, if a new ship comes out, we know they're going to balance it in a week, or we know they're going to balance it in a month. Like, it's just arbitrary and random. Like, how long is it going to be? Weeks, months, years? Who knows? It's like a landmine, It's like, who knows if or when they're going to balance anything, and it feels arbitrary when they do it.
Right. No, before I drop my two ECs, Nick, Augie, hello, welcome. Rabog, I'm just going to say Cracker? Tumor, how you doing? And Gank, welcome. To Stowe. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to start with the console image refactors. So I think Nick told me to get that for my tank build that he helped me out with. Again, it's there. I don't really use it as much, but it's there. The Tholian web spinner, didn't use it as much either. Great, but for a free console, for what we got it for, it's an account unlock. And the Eddies, again, I got it from the event. I had it. I used it maybe 2-3 times. I think, Spencer, you said how much did it kill the DPS by? Like 80%?
Neutronic or Tholian web spinner was 80%.
Oh, Tholian,
Eddies was
sorry.
50.
Okay, so I'm not a Saifu, so it didn't really, Captain, it didn't really affect me. Now, the Agony Distributor, I used it
Over
a couple
99%.
times. It's over 99%. I used it a couple times, and for me, I recommended the bundle, the 12th anniversary bundle for it, but it wasn't for that console. And this is something that we were kind of talking about before we came on, was it's going to be very subjective to how each of us play the game. So I'm speaking from my perspective, which I think everyone knows by now. I don't really take things too seriously, and don't start spamming. Spencer, stop it right now. Stop it. You're smiling already. I can see it.
I can feel it.
Stop it. I think I used it. I'm not even sure if it was on that run that you took me out on.
It was.
Was? Okay. Well, big whoop.
Let's see how much of a percent. Give me a second.
Having said that, other than that one run, couple builds that I used it on, I was like, yeah, all right, well, and I didn't use it ever again. So, Captains, if you know, especially on the YouTube channel, you saw the Star Trek Day tribute sort of things that I've done, and I thank you so much for the positive response to those, because some of you captains got why we were doing that. But I did those builds, those vids the way I did because that is how I've played Star Trek throughout the years. And it wasn't necessarily meant to go, you know, super DACA mode, as Spencer would say I should put like more weapons on my freaking Defiant. It was killing him, saving me a 3-2 or whatever I did on that.
If you don't mind, I just want to say, thankfully your parse wasn't hard to find, being it's at the top of the list.
Stop it.
You had 151k DPS from the Agony Redistributor on your previous record.
150k? Oh, that's
yes,
cute.
151.
That's cute. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is to me, it didn't affect me as much because I didn't get that ship nor the bundle or the console. I got it for the ships. So, or even lately, anything that I've been getting has been mostly about the ship. I don't care what trade it comes with. I don't care what console it comes with. I just wanted it for the ship. So I do agree with that sentiment that why nerf it when you put it in a mud store? It's been out for 2 years. Yeah, the whole customer service thing, I don't like that. And I have to try to sort of, you know, and I can't empathize with that because, yeah, if you bought it for that reason, all of a sudden that was part of your build for however long, and then now it's like, oh, well, okay. But again, personally, it did not affect me. One, I got it for free because I just do the event. I did the event. But going with that Adamant console, like, well, okay, it's not good. The nerf, I do agree, it was nerfed to oblivion. Now, Sark said something earlier where at least this time they put it in the patch notes as opposed to it being, I think Sark said, I can't remember when it was, something about they just found out, I was watching one of his streams, they just found out about the plasma consoles, the embassy consoles, while they're doing testing. And, you know, at least it doesn't, you know, change the effect of you nerfed it to the ground. It would have been nice if they would have asked maybe a little bit. I don't know how that looks like or what that could look like. But then you have people, you know, have some of the devs asking, well, you know, what's this? Or what do you think about this? Or like, was it recently? Bordicus was asking for builds, right? Admiralty, and also wasn't it because of Uncon, right? So now that he asked for Uncon, what's going to happen with that, right? Or is that on the chopping block, or you know what I mean?
I had that in my thumbnail even actually for when I talked about the nerf overload. You know, I had the dump truck and I had Uncon way up on the street in front of the dump truck. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I guess how I am going to sort of deal with those, if it does come, those nerfs to whatever, is I am going to just personally move on. Will I voice my, you know, discontent? Sure. But is there something that we can do about it? Possibly by doing something like this, by making videos, by adding, you know, the devs at Star Trek Online. But, you know, I think you said it's McStud. Kale mentioned you made a statement. Kale made a statement about, what was that console you guys were complaining about or whatever on stream?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, that was almost, to some, a sort of just like a backhanded comment, like, what are you guys complaining about now?
Yeah.
You know, and to some, yeah, the way that they play Star Trek Online, and I've always said it, is DPS chasing. And you kind of like mess with that because, yeah, people have put time, whether it's real life money or time investment, like Waldo mentioned, regardless that ship is free, you're still investing time, you're paying with your time doing the missions.
Rephrase it from DPS chasing, because it wasn't just DPS chasers impacted by this. It was anyone that wanted to improve their build, and that's not just DPS chasing. You know, like we've got, you know, people that were healers or tanking impacted by the whole image refractors nerf. People doing PvP, you know, may have been impacted by some of this stuff. Like, this wasn't just DPSers. This was a more broader part of the player base, the part of the player base that just in general wants to have a higher performing build in whatever they do.
So Dilly, that meant that Chiz, you're just playing nice guy. Well, the thing is with me, I'm going off how I play the game. If it's gonna be, you know, a console that's not gonna be worth slotting, or quote unquote worth slotting, again, that's subjective, then I'll just use something else. There's other things that, you know, I can do. I play the game in advance to normal. Rarely do I go above elite, to elite, especially maybe if I'm going to a max, whatever, but for the most part, like the story mission, I just played that under normal. Like it depends on how you enjoy the game, you, quote unquote, me. So I enjoy it just for the fact of just me being in my ship, me doing my pew-pews, me having conversation with you caps just like this. That's pretty much it. But I do agree with the whole console thing being nerfed to oblivion, and it should have been. Again, what, like, warn us? Well, they kind of did. They put it in the patch notes, like, you know. But then there was no discussion of it, and for a dev to say, like what you said, Spencer, that 240K is a lot. To what? As a one hit? As a
for the entire console, like that was. So that statement from an unnamed developer, but it is somebody that, you know, works at Cryptic, is that 240K damage is a lot for a console to do. Was their justification for why they put Agony to where it is? But at the same time, in the exact same patch where they are pushing Agony Redistributor down to that level, they released 2 consoles in the new lockbox, you know, that do exponentially more than that. That statement, you know, is just disconnect from how things perform. They just don't test. They don't look at the numbers of how things actually perform when they release them.
Yeah, and again, there is a disconnect. They say that it's, you know, they do things not for DPSers, but then they'll release these consoles, they release these traits, and we know people are just going to use them to wreck the pixels already. But we've said this before, this game is super easy, and that almost anything after you get to 65 is literally your own end game. You can make up your own end game. DPS is one of them. Space Barbie is one of them. Doing, you know, whatever, you know, your Admiralty or your builds that you want to just have fun with, map breaking, as it would say, or do, you know, that's totally up to you. And I just think that it would have been nice to have a conversation. I don't know what that looks like, but for people to actually buy these things, and then, you know, for it to be nerfed. Again, I go to what I said before. Well, we've bought in ships before for trades and consoles, and they've just moved on from them. So what are those? Different. I know it's different, but I'm just, you know.
I think as soon as they have meetings, right? And in those meetings, they say, you know, they're looking at things, and at some point, it came up that this console wasn't working the way they want, or the way they expected. I mean, let's talk about like the weather control ship. Let's forget about how long it was out, whatever. As soon as that comes up and they agree, yes, there's a problem, we need to look into this, that needs to be added to the known issue. It's a known issue, you know, from them. And maybe even pulled from the mud store. I mean, that's a premium high dollar ship. If you know it's defective and you're still going to sell it to people without saying that there's a known issue, that's the problem. You know, it's not even just community, it's transparency, that, you know, these guys knew that, you know, these things were going to be adjusted much farther in advance than when we found out. We found out the day before it went live. And for me, that's the whole, because I mean, we can talk in circles forever about, you know, the min-maxing and building for the DPS, or how things, you know, the metas change. And to me, it's all irrelevant. I mean, from a business practice standpoint, from an ethical standpoint, you know, doing it in this manner is not right.
I agree completely. And it's like, you know, they advertise something, and even if they don't directly advertise it that way, like say, oh, this is super powerful, like, you know, us content creators are out there doing it. You know, if we do a ship review or a video or whatever, or even if people just read Reddit, they're going to see the hype. They're going to see, oh, look how powerful this is. And then they're going to go out and buy it. And then they're going to at least pick up on that. They're going to pick up like, oh, people are buying this a lot more than the other thing. And they can't plead ignorance. They know people are buying it for performance reasons. And then when they nerf it, it's just like, well, we got your money, so thanks, I guess.
And sorry, go ahead, Spence.
I think at the end of the day, when it comes to things getting nerfed, like this so long after release, at the end of the day, it just boils down to the way that they are designing and testing things internally just not being thorough enough. Taking 2 years.
Like, the Agony redistributor never should have been like that to begin with. Like, that's probably the number one thing. Like, if things were balanced to begin with, none of this would even be a problem.
Yep.
I mean, Spencer, you already said when that thing first came out, you already said to me that thing's gonna get nerfed.
Yeah,
it was broken. It wasn't adjusted already. Like initially, I thought there was an adjustment.
There was an interaction between it and recursive shearing, and they did fix that quickly. I even, like, when I did the video ranting about this in the QA stuff a while back, I said, it was reported publicly on Twitter that, like, within the week of it coming out, that you could stack 2 Agonies together and it would insta-kill everything around it.
Kill everything.
And I was still like, I couldn't get that through to the QA person I was talking to, that literally all you have to do to have that happen again, and you can repeat it like however many times you want, it has the same result. Just 2 different accounts hit that Agony redistributor console on the same target at the same time, and it kills everything around.
Didn't you even have, like, they had, like, the other account had, like, no gear and, like, white weapons and stuff, like...
Yeah. That was one of the points that they had even requested, was, is this something that they could go through and test, with a naked account, I think is how they put it. And that's why I did it that way in the video. But I think the big issue, and the issue with all these consoles, is the fact they're not using parsers internally. Because when they were told about the issue, they were like, you have the lines from a combat log. And, when you're testing some of these consoles, looking line by line in a combat log, yeah, I can understand why that sucks. But if you use a parser, you can clearly see on the graphs when something spikes up and is not working right, or you can go and see the breakdown for how much that a certain console does. And if they used a parser, they would see that a good chunk of the consoles in the game that they have released over the past couple of years do more than 200k, and that their idea of, what normal damage is for a console is quite off.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's you guys know how to build chips more, and I've just gotten your guys to help me, but it will sort of it has rubbed people the wrong way. And again, it's not about me being trying to be diplomatic or whatever. Again, I'm basing this how I play, and there is things that are wrong, and I agree it is wrong if it's where people bought that ship, like the weather ships, the Rizian weather control ship, and then all of a sudden, regardless 2 years, whatever, it's just like nerfed to the ground. That's not cool, especially when we are here for us. We play Stowe for our own reasons, and again, that being what Spencer said, elaborated on that point, to just make sure to improve, and then all of a sudden, boom. But with that being said, Spencer knows that the meta always changes. I don't know how many metas you've been through, but that also, again, I'm not trying to justify it'll change. No, I'm just saying it's always going to come out with the next best thing, right?
The meta will always change. DPSers will always figure it out. Like, this change sucks, sure, but for DPSers, the people actually pushing records, that mentality is, maximizing what is currently available, or use what is currently available to maximize potential. And agony or no agony, people will find a way to get maximum potential. But I know Gauss and Stu do not have a ton of time tonight, so we should probably get to some of the other topics because we've spent like 45 minutes on the first one.
Yeah, no.
Passionate on this one.
Yeah, just a
Very
little
passionate.
bit. No, and I get it. But the one thing I will say lastly on this is, you had mentioned the Game Freaks, right? He had essentially quit the game. Is that correct? Because
he's not quit the game, but he's stepping away from like chasing records. And realistically, the actual scene, the actual pool of people that chase DPS is incredibly small. There's more PvPers than there are DPS players at that level.
Chase DPS at the max level, you mean? Right?
Yeah, a lot of people are very casual about it. So, but there's lots of people that will go for higher performance, but they're doing it much more casually. They're not going into super coordinated teams. They're not working on specific strategies.
Imagine
Most people
being
approach it very
casual,
casually.
Yeah, no, and so yeah, there's our thoughts on that one.
Yeah.
Caps, that's very something
We could go on that for a very long time.
But now maybe we can answer this for Debbie Mott resident. So he's asking, this goes to all of us, what ship would be worth getting for the year-long sort of campaign. Again, it will depend on what you sort of how your play style, but if there's two ships, if we're just taking them for ship, sort of face value, I would recommend either the Discovery refit or the Miracle Worker Flight Deck Cruiser, or the AKA the Constitution from Strange New Worlds.
I don't want to recommend anything for performance right now after the last week.
I would add to what he says with the sticks, but if you have 0 ships and you're brand new, I'd say C-store coupons.
Get something that's
I think the Gagarin is my go-to for a new player. It's just a solid all-around ship, especially for those normal and advanced content, and the trait is super versatile. So if you decide, you want to do beams, or you want to do torpedoes or whatever, it can grow with you. So yeah, I agree with Stu. I think that get the C-store coupons, you get 2 ships that way, and or just get the ship you like, because the game is easy. So if you're just a die-hard fan of one of the iterations of Star Trek and you want that hero ship, maybe just get that one, and just fly it because you like the way it looks. You're probably never going to regret that.
Yep. Okay, so the other thing I had here next up, of course, we talked about the episode, or I did, but the others haven't played it yet. So the TFO, I'm not sure if you guys have played it. I have. I knew it was going to be just a pull away from that one segment on the ground. In a pug random group, it's not going to be fun, I don't think, but it's time gated. I haven't tried to do anything crazy with it. I just played it the once for the playthrough. That's probably the only time that I'll play it. So Ilea's in it for voiceover wise. There's, I don't know, 6 islands or 8 islands or whatever. You have to kind of go back and forth. And if you had a team that wasn't coordinated, it probably will take a little longer. But I'd have to say, with that TFO, I wish they would have put a space TFO, because there was a space portion in that featured episode, which they could have used, in my opinion. That would have just been another easy one for a chance to shoot at Terrans for pew-pews.
I think I can speak for everyone else here. I don't think any of us have played the new TFO, but I think the only thing we need to know about it is that it's ground, and we can probably go to the next topic.
I will say, what I've seen of it, it looks beautiful. Visually, it looks really, really good.
I don't like the floor though. It is kind of you get kind of
It looks cool.
No, it looks cool.
Looks cool. It looks cool. I've seen pictures. It does look good. The map looks good. But ground.
Ouch.
But ground. I'm sorry.
No, the only thing I didn't like was the floor was, you can get caught on that easily. If you were sort of trying to cut the corners there, you'd get caught. But it's great looking. Again, I enjoyed it in the mission for what it was. Probably not a TFO I'm going to be doing, though, for my daily. I'm just going to stick with Jupiter Radius. So, yeah, I guess we're going to move on to the next one. These three haven't played it. Your thoughts on the lockbox? First.
I love the Vanity Shield. I don't care what anybody says. It grew on me. At first, when they showed it off in the blog post, I was like, I don't know. Maybe it was just the ship it was on, but it's really growing on me. I put it on the event ship, and I put the big nacelles on it because it kind of reminds me of kind of like, I don't know, a beefy hot rod, or like, you know, the SR-71, it's 70s hot rod, and then you put that shield on it, and it's like primer. You know, it's I don't know. I like it. So the Vanity Shield's nice. I have not used the ground weapons yet. I have one of each. So I will play with those. They look visually kind of cool. They're different. The Raider ship, I just sold the one that I had. I think it looks cool. I like the spinning effect. The stats and the way it's set up isn't really for me. But it doesn't look like it's terrible. I mean, it really, you know, like you're always saying, I mean, it really comes down to how you want to play the game, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had considered opening it just to fly it around because it's interesting and that kind of thing. But I just thought that would happen for a day, and then, you know, it would just sit there, and I didn't want that happening. So I've picked up most of the traits and things that have come out of it. I haven't played with them yet. I'm kind of excited about I think it's personal space trait for carrier pet build kind of things. So I'm interested to play with that. All in all, I like what has come out of it. I didn't open any boxes. I just bought this stuff on the exchange. I am not a proponent of opening boxes unless you know what your chances are. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to complain about. You know, it's your standard kind of stuff, and I'm having fun with it.
Benz?
Well, I was not a big fan of this casino update. The only thing in it that was really that probably is going to have a long-term meta impact is going to be independent wingmate. I'm not a fan of the stats on the ship. The ship does look cool until it starts moving, and then it does the rotating back and forth, and I'm not personally a fan of that. I think the ship's cool, you know, visually. The stats on it, they really got to do something for pilot, you know, because there's a lot of ships that as soon as they make pilot good, their people are probably going to start to look at them again. You know, reroute reserves to weapons, I think it is for pilot. Allow that to work with the other firing modes, and that alone will make pilot much more valuable. You imagine that and fire at will at the same time, or beam overload. People go nuts for that. But the rest of the lockbox contents, they're all crashing in price. Independent wingmate is the only one that is holding a high value. Everything else, not very popular. The console's good for science builds. Fun fact, it does more than 200k damage. Don't tell the devs that, though.
Too late.
Don't
too late.
Don't tell QA.
Thanks, Spencer.
Yeah, I saw a parse of it doing 16
You could have just
million
left
damage.
You could have just left it at it's a good console. That's it.
Don't tell QA that it's doing 80 times more than what they think is high damage for a console. But yeah, it's overall, I think the general sentiment is that it's not going to be the most popular lockbox. I think we've already seen that. The ship is down to, I've seen it as low as 700 mil.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, micro DMA, I just ruined it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, good job there.
That's all I really got for it. It's the no space weapons in the lockbox. The Vandy Shield's the only thing making the weapon pack hold any value. The ground weapons are already under 100k.
Great time to buy them.
Not a good lockbox long term. I think we're going to see Infinity pushed back in very quickly. Gauss?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of interesting because for a long time now they haven't been doing new lock boxes. They've been putting stuff right into Infinity, and they've been putting like the traits and stuff in the lobby store, which is kind of a weird thing, which made it a lot more expensive. So on the one hand, this is a good thing, especially for people who don't open boxes, because you can go get the stuff on the exchange for cheaper than if you were opening boxes. Whereas when they were putting a trait in the lobby store for 200 lobby or whatever, that's really expensive, and you're probably not going to be able to get it if you're a free-to-play player unless you're taking the lobby from the event. So this makes this new stuff in the box more accessible to more people, but it also brings the gambling back. Like, you could sit and pretty reasonably calculate how much you have to spend to get the lobby, to get 200, to get the stuff from the Infinity or the lobby store. But it's a pilot ship. It's a pilot ship. What are you going to say, right? Like, it's never going to be, it's a pilot ship nobody asked for. They did include a lot of traits, which I thought was nice. Obviously, the hanger pet one is something that I like because I like hanger pets, and that's like the good one. Spencer's trying to get the console nerf, but it's like it's fine, but it's also like it kind of just goes to show like how much the Overton window has been moved, where it's sort of like there are people who are like, oh yay, finally a real lockbox, when really we should be saying like this is just a bunch of gambling scam.
Hey, I have something to add. I have something positive.
Oh,
Tumor, I know I've been sounding negative tonight, and I'm sorry.
no, you're
But I
not.
got something positive. This lockbox means that the crossfield refit and the contents of that Discovery Far From Home lockbox should be added to Infinity as soon as Systems feels like it.
You
That's the best thing.
Tell that to the Dalkina.
The Dalkina, yeah.
Yeah, the Dalkina took forever to get added, but technically, by their rules, after 2 lockboxes, after that lockbox, the contents should be added to the Infinity lockbox, which means Crossfield Refit should become more available whenever Borticus and the rest of the systems team feels like adding it in. So that's what to hound them about on 10 Forward.
Just saying. So before I go, again, thank you, Angels, for that raid. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. And yes, the stream is going swimmingly. Spencer has yet to use his one word, but what?
I'm banking it. I'm banking it, man. I'm gonna have
the meltdown at the very end. So the courier, the ship there. Again, my mind goes to weird places. I tilted my head and it looked like a Tholian in space. Not a fan of it. But doesn't mean because I don't like it. Of course, you can do whatever. I'm not the one captaining the ship when it comes to you caps flying it. So the sword, though, I have yet to get it. But yeah, I am going to be getting that sword.
I got it. It's awesome.
Animations are broke.
Looks like you're hanging yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, if you spam H to like make it to like have it on your back, and then you pull, so it's on your back, but you then pull it out your side, and if you spam H, to draw out the weapon, if you do that fast enough, your arm like goes through your neck, and your character looks like it's choking itself out. So
it looks good.
When I think Star Trek, I think swords and I think Beatles. So I think they nailed it.
100%. I saw the courier shell. I think Augie had it on his ship there. It looks good. I will say it does look neat. The effects that it makes visually on the nacelles and stuff like that, it looks really good. The environmental suit, I have yet to see it. It looks good. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gunning for that. What do you call it? That console, the micro dark matter anomaly, or for some reason I start calling it Molly.
Don't make it any worse.
No, I saw it in a defense starbase. It looked really cool. I thought it was visually awesome and it looked like it could pull some things in there. So maybe something. Getting the weapons, I didn't like the look of the weapons there. Now, the Blade Beetle Swarm. I swear I had to like stop myself because I kept wanting to say Beyblade. I kept wanting to say Beyblade, and then someone made a comment, just now they wanted to say Let It Rip. I got a couple of those because they were selling for like 50K, I think Dwayne said, so I just grabbed a couple or grabbed one for the account because it's account unlock. But I think for me the sword was probably one of the things I was looking forward to. And what do you call it? What's the Kawat Milat sword? Milat? But it was a meh. Not a lot for me, but again, when it comes to lockbox stuff lately, again, I just kind of go for what I would like and enjoy and use. So overall, it felt like there was stronger lockboxes in this.
If I were just to add one thing, a lot of we've gotten used to the fact that a lot of ships that have this type of visibility on the shows generally go direct to infinity. We've gotten quite used to that, and I think this is how a lot of the older lockbox ships were, right? They were just visible for a couple seconds, and I think we just got spoiled by the ships in some of these more recent lockboxes did have a little bit more relevance on screen. That had their own lockbox, and now we're back to a lockbox where the ship had little visibility, so it's fairly underwhelming.
It is a trend that I'm not liking to see, though, that every ship that we're seeing on screen is going directly into a lockbox or R&D. I get it for obviously for money purposes, but I've said this before and I'll say it now in this on the stream, but I'll say it now. It would be nice if we can give captains a choice of getting just the tier 5 skin of the ship somehow, whether it be dilithium, whether it just be the C-store ship, because it's not like it hasn't been done before. I thought when they did the revamp of the tutorial, it was a missed opportunity for them to give everyone a tier 5 California class. And it's not like they haven't done that before, because with the Gamma Recruit, they gave us a tier 5 bug ship. And then possibly give it an upgrade system of some sort. So you get that ship, and then you want to T5 exit, right? You put an upgrade, you buy the upgrade, then T6, and then maybe an option to make it a tier 6, and then so on and so forth. So I feel like there's just sometimes money's left on the table, and then with people not being able to have the ships that they see on screen because they can't afford it or whatever have you, it just turns them off and turns them away, and which again is lost revenue in my opinion.
I would say in general they leave money on the table with the gambling mechanics in some ways. And I've talked about this before, but the fact that they do not provide a direct route to acquire all the ships that they have in the game is leaving money out on the table. And you can see that when you look at gold seller sales for certain ships, that there are ships that don't appear on the exchange, and there's no way for people to get them without gambling. So some people, a substantial amount, will go through other means if Cryptic does not provide them a direct route. So they leave a lot of money on the table when it comes to ships, for sure.
Yeah, and it just makes me scratch my head, but I'll save that for later. So my favorite, and we talked about this. So the stealth change on the Pendevers, captains, if you don't know what those are, they're just personal endeavors. So I'm maxed. I could use the points because I already have 150. But the day of, I think it was Augie who tweeted out, replied to me when I showed the picture, which I wasn't going to use it anyways, to be honest with you. It was locking some certain people out. Now, I haven't seen anything saying that it's changed that. I'm not sure if those people that were locked out, I think Q was one of them.
What do you mean locked out?
Of the other characters that they did not use the points on. I can't actually confirm that. It's just I've seen some people say that they have been locked out for their characters. So again, I wasn't gonna actually use it right away, So I don't know if that's been addressed or I was locked out of all my characters but my main. See, there you go. So Admiral is killer. So that he's not the first one I've seen that happen to. So I don't plan on using them, to be honest with you, until I hear otherwise. I hope those who have actually had that problem has submitted a ticket for that issue. But for me, again, Pendevers, I think we were talking this before the stream. Gauss had made a mention, he doesn't have, or even Stu, he doesn't do them if he doesn't feel like them. I've just done them just because it just, I don't know, my OCD kicks in and I just do it. I just want to do it. Now on my free-to-play account on the console, I kind of do the same thing like you guys. If it's something I can do quickly, fine, because I have a different goal on that account, which is just to show off how many ships you can collect over time, over a year. And we're coming over the year, and I've collected quite a few. So for me, the Pendevers has just been a bonus to do, and it's just another form of resource gathering for me because, well, I have boxes and McStud Go. That's just itching.
I think the expansion, I think what is this, the third expansion now that they've made to the system. I think it's good. I don't see any problems with it. Doesn't make any difference to me. I'm not even at 300 yet. I've been a little lazy, and I probably should practice a little bit more of what I preach. But because I tell people on my channel all the time, don't sleep on that, do it. And I really target more of your beginner, mid-tier, players coming into the game. And I think it's even more important because, as Gauss was saying before the stream, I mean, we have a lot of gear that we've built up, traits. We have a lot of powerful stuff. So if I'm lacking there a little bit, it's not that huge of a deal. So I generally pick up and do ones that are, are easy, or I like to. I'm not going to go kill 6 Devoth on ground. It's just not going to happen. But
why not?
But there's a lot of other ones that that I would do, and I do. So I'm pretty happy about the change. I think that's a place where they could put a real good dill sync into. I did a poll on my channel. It's been up for a day. We've had 620 people vote in it. I gave them a few options between, what they could spend their dilithium on: vanity shields, TFLO cooldown, or endeavor points. 64% of people wanted to see, the ability to be able to buy those points. Now, I think we could see that unless that's something that they're going to monetize, right? And that's always the balancing act when we're looking at dill syncs, is that it's got to be something that's separate and different, and not something that's currently monetized, and that takes money out, So, but in general, I think that's great. I think we'll probably continue to see those expansions. It will, over time, start to create a really big gap between newer players. So they'll have to, institute some way to be able to get up that chain a little bit faster, be it monetization or dill sync or some other kind of way. But I'm totally cool with it, and I'm glad they made that change. It was weird too how they announced it. There was just a one-liner on Twitter. It wasn't in the blogs or anything. So
yeah, it wasn't in the blog. I think someone just said it.
It was on Twitter. It was a
was
Twitter,
it? Oh,
it was a part of a Twitter post.
No. You blink, you miss it.
Yeah.
Blink, you miss it.
Yep.
I'm not happy. It now takes over 3.5 years for a brand new player to start this system and complete it. And the idea is retention. My response to that is that most people are going to be burnt out of the fucking game before the 4 years is up and they have finished the system. It alienates anyone that has any interest in getting to the higher performance things in the game. For people that want to compete on PvE DPS, for people that want to do PvP, they are at a massive disadvantage compared to existing players who have completed the system. I think a buyout is absolutely needed at this point. because then Cryptic can capitalize on the people that actually really care about maximizing their performance. You're still going to have the majority of people going through and, doing it daily for the reward boxes. And they can take advantage of the fact that there is, 1 out of every 100 people in the game, or 1 out of every 1,000 would be willing to drop a couple $100 or $1,000 to go from 0 to 750. I don't get why they're not realizing, again, I think that's just part of the disconnect that they have, that there are people that would pay to skip ahead. I would at this point, with how I feel about the game and the things from systems and QA in the past couple months, I'm probably not going to put a ton of money in going forward, but if I could pay to have my endeavors, to catch up, I'd probably do it.
Not 1,000 though. That's crazy.
What? You don't want like 100,000 dilithium per endeavor perk point?
That
only
if we're
be
talking
75 mil.
dilithium, yes, dilithium, I'm totally fine. Whatever the price is, I would put my dilithium into a system like that. Yeah,
but that would be one of the best dill syncs that they could do, because people would pay. They would pay money to get dilithium to get that system progressed faster.
Yep.
And even if people weren't paying to get the dill off the Dilex, there's just, they've mentioned before that there's a huge amount of like hoarded dilithium out there. And I don't know if those players are the kind of people who have their endeavors maxed, but it would probably just drain a lot of, excess dilithium that's just sitting around on people's accounts as well.
I would just respond to that a lot of that dilithium sitting out there is not on players or accounts that care about their endeavor score. Those most of those accounts, the only time they saw combat was maybe when clearing the first 2 missions, but most of those definitely legitimate human accounts. They're not bots. Definitely.
They haven't seen combat since Korea,
Yeah. Basically, they just sit there, do Admiralty, contraband all day, and they generate a massive amount of dilithium and EC into the economy, and I blame them for most of the issues we have. I don't think it's your average day-to-day player like Triz that sits there doing Admiralty for 16 hours a day.
I still haven't responded to Vorticus, by the way, which I plan on doing. Gauss, did you have more to say on the endeavors?
I mean, I think I agree with both Mixdu and Spencer here, and I'm surprised they haven't monetized it yet, because they try to monetize just about everything. We've seen that with the Bridge Officer Elite training tokens, so it is kind of weird that they haven't monetized it yet. And to his point, to Spencer's point, if you started tomorrow, how long would it take to catch up? And there's no catch-up mechanic, whether it's paid or not. Other games where they have this kind of an issue, even if it's not for real money, there's some kind of catch-up mechanic. It's like, are you going to be 3.5 years behind? Like, that's kind of insane. So it makes sense they increased it, because it is a retention tool for them. And there are definitely people who are already maxed out, and if it's if that motivates them to continue logging in, then it's working as intended, I suppose. But there's also the question of at what point are these buffs so insane? Like, you get to 1,000 endeavor points or 1,500 endeavor points or something, like 500%, crit severity or something. Like, at what point do these bonuses become out of control? I don't know.
What if they nerfed it after the fact?
Ooh.
Oh, so it's like the same relative benefit, but you need more points to get it?
No, like it got out of control, so they just reduced the overall stats for each one.
I'm gonna go the Vorticus route there, where you put a system into the game and players take advantage of that system, and you realize that it was too much.
I don't know why I got you.
I guess I'm skipping ahead to another topic.
Didn't they do a thing where someone was like, I bet Kale can't play the game, and he's like, I'll show you. We're gonna do a charity stream.
Yeah.
That was Loot Critter. He was frustrated at the new mission because the new mission uses the Bee Critter mechanic to put you in place, or you're playing as another character, and apparently the character has very poor gear quality on it. Like it's not built out very well apparently, and a lot of people were struggling with that.
I just love the idea
From
that
what I heard.
Kale's like, I'll show you that I can play the game. You know, like what?
Well, the thing is, out of anything, I would say Kale acts as like one of their QA people, right? Probably like testing the mission. So out of anything for him to show off on a public stream, a mission would probably be the easiest thing for him.
The only thing that I'll sort of add to Spencer's and to the pen everything is, even though Spencer, Mix2, you guys are not maxed, yes, it's a retention tool, but it's nice to have, but it's not required. Because even though, Spencer, you're not maxing your Pendevers, you've been number one on the charts for how long? So it's nice to have. Again, yes, you do have a good amount of points, but I see people even with less points still doing fine. So
I would just say that some people need all the help they can get, and they need them Endeavor points. Triz. They need it.
You just had to go there, didn't you?
Well, they don't have Agony Redistributor anymore, so
They need all the help.
Now I'm
No
gonna have to start
Agony.
grinding mine, huh? I'm
No.
only at 297.
I'm at, what am I at?
That's cute.
411.
Oh, adorable.
Stu, can we get a mutual, mutual response for Triz here? You know?
Wow.
he's trying to
Dang.
circumvent the 1 per hour rule by using sign language.
That we didn't talk about that then. Okay, so go
We
ahead.
should try and make sure to go through the topics a little bit faster though, because
Yep.
Stu and
Buff upgrade. Nah. I'll take
Trash.
the free one. That's about it.
I took the free one, and I'll end up using it probably on one of my SROs, so I don't have to train everything out. I don't have any problem with it. I, at this point, would definitely not spend $5 on one. It just doesn't offer enough for the way I play the game. If I played only missions where I can bring my bridge officers to ground, then they would definitely be worth it. If that was, if this was SOTOR or something where it's all on ground, that'd be awesome. But it's not. It's a space game, basically, and the upgrades don't really give you a lot for that. So I give it a thumbs down. But I mean, I don't. If someone wants to buy them, go for it. I don't see anything wrong with it. It just isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy these off the exchange when they get really cheap, for the simple reason of they give you all the bridge officer abilities, like all the science, eng, tac abilities. That's the only good thing really about this buff upgrade. So it's an easy way. It saves me a couple clicks, and when they go down to like 10 to 15 mil because no one's buying them, I'll make sure to pick up a few there.
Yoink.
That's the only use case. I don't know what to say.
I think they're overpriced, and I was surprised at the backlash, the general, Reddit and Twitter and stuff. Like, I was surprised at how negatively they responded to it. I thought the average player would be more receptive to it, but they're just too expensive. Like, even per character, per buff, it's too much. If they were like $1 each, or the equivalent thereof, or if they had been for Dill, as a Dill sync, I think people would have liked it more. But yeah, you don't use your bridge officers all that much in content, and the big convenience for most of us is that you don't have to manually go and buy and train all the manuals for the skills. But is that worth $5? I don't think so.
It'd be worth $1 to me, but not $5.
The issue, the reason you even saw Reddit going off about it is because it's a ground boost and it's bridge officers. And for a lot of, if you could take bridge officers into ground TFOs, people would be happy with it. I'd probably look at investing in it. But because it's specifically a boost for story missions and a couple of adventure zones, it's not worth the money.
They would have given the ability to use any ships that we have in space for like story missions. I would have gotten it 100%. Imagine your boss commanding one of your ships. Ooh, yes, 100%. I get that. So the next one here, the fleet stuff. Now, the only thing I know that is worth sort of getting for me personally is the SROs. I have not yet done that. The Admiralty, don't need them. I think each of my tunes have like 1,000, but I only do Admiralty once a day anyways, if I can do that. It sounded like it was really, it's not worth it. 500, was it 500 fleet credits?
500,000, yes.
500,000, yeah. So it's like,
and the Admiralty cards are 500,000 fleet credits and 100,000 dilithium.
Not worth it.
And they do not get the discount from the Dil mine.
Not worth it for me. So I will eventually get the SROs, but not in a rush for them. It was a good attempt, but I'm not even sure if that even tickled the Dilex, because I don't think it did. Because it still kept rising. It's not, because I think it's still over 10 mil right now. So.
Yeah, so I was super pumped for the SROs. I already bought mine for my main. Everything's perfect. I'm super happy about all of that. The quality of life stuff that they did, I think, is good. I haven't tested to see, if it's easier to get off the KDF Starbase or if some of the trans warps work. If that all does, that's great. Admiralty cards. I think back to when, like, I first started my free-to-play account about 2 years ago. I would pick up, the mirror ships, the tier 5 ones for their Admiralty cards, because they were super cheap and you can use them. I'd go and find anything I could, even, small craft, so I could use them to kind of skip through, ones I didn't want to run. I would never, ever, ever spend that much dilithium on an Admiralty card. I just wouldn't. And on my main account, like you, Triz, I've built up enough ships over time to where I don't need it, so I just wouldn't spend that much on there. Same thing with the duty officers. I think that was a big missed opportunity, because that's something that people would. I mean, you should see how much money people spend EC wise on the exchange for certain duty officers. I mean, you can ask Spencer all about that. I think most of it's his fault,
like a ship.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than a ship. I mean, it's insane, And if they had
135.
Oh my god.
It's insane. So, had they had made duty officers that players want and would use, that would been a tremendous Dil sync that would, work well for a long period of time. But most of them are copies of stuff that's already in the game. They're just a different color, And so I look at that and I'm just like, I don't need it. I mean, I literally don't have a use for it at all. There's no reason for them to be on my roster in any way, shape, or form. So I think that was a missed opportunity, at least with that batch. I'm hoping, with this expansion, that we see more of that kind of stuff, and maybe on round 2, they'll look and see how many people bought these. It's not that people aren't interested in duty officers. That's not why they didn't buy them. It's just they're not worth buying, So if they do a round 2, talk to the players, find out, do some polls. I mean, it's not hard to find out what people want. I've never seen anybody asked, really, other than, this one thing with the Admiralty system. But if they did a little bit more of that, I think that they could make some of these things that they're trying to do, especially in regards to the Dilex, work much, much better if they knew what the players wanted. We're the customer. You're selling stuff to us, one way or another. Find out what we want to buy. That'll make all of it work much, much better. So, it's one of those things. I'm not upset about it. I mean, it is, what it is. It's just I'm not interested in buying it, so I'm not. But so, I guess in a nutshell, I'm super pumped I got SROs, and the rest of it might as well not even exist.
Yeah. Thanks.
The SROs are a very nice change. My original character is a Federation human psi, so having the ability to get SROs for that character is definitely a nice quality of life improvement. But most of my characters are the correct race, Romulan, so the change doesn't really matter. Now, when it comes to the Admiralty cards, and I know we haven't gone into the Admiralty, potential nerfs to Admiralty yet, but I don't like the prospect of buying Admiralty cards that are this expensive, and then within the same week that they've been released, you've got the lead systems developer on Twitter asking questions about Admiralty, and if you've been around long enough, when Bordicus starts asking about things, things ain't looking too good for whatever he's asking about. So there's also the fact of what Ty brought up in your YouTube chat. How much Admiralty do you have to do to get those resources back that you spent to buy the Admiralty card? How many Admiralty missions do you need to do with that card to get your 100k lithium back? That's a lot. And add in the fact that all this stuff is per character, like any existing fleet gear, that the cost is just so absurdly high. And now when we talk about the DOS, they were very uninspired. There's not really much creativity taken with most of the duty officers. In most cases, the new duty officers are direct copies of the very rare versions of those DOFs. They don't have any stat improvements. They got one extra trait, but if you look at the exchange, there's quite a few very rares that do the same thing that also have 5 traits on them. So there's very little value from the new ultra rare DOFs. They had opportunities, especially over at the fleet colony. They have a technician for Ox to Bat. They gave that the same stat boost that you would get with a very rare technician, and they had opportunity to potentially take that up to like a 12 or 15% cooldown reduction instead of 10%, and they did not utilize that opportunity to do so. It was quite frustrating to see, because just these new DOFs just weren't, they just felt like copy and paste. No effort really seemed to have been put in there, other than putting the ultra rare border around them, and the new visual appearance of the person or whatever. So just not very happy about it. I felt like it was really I don't know how much effort it was on their side, but from a player point of view, given the fact that there's no stat boost, there's no incentive to get these over very rare DOFs, just feels like it was a very lazy effort. Sorry, I talked a lot.
Mr. Gauss?
I agree with what both of them said. McStuson, we're customers, so find out what we want to buy and sell that to us. And they do seem to release a lot of stuff that you question who it's for. And also, Spencer's saying, well, the SROs were definitely the best thing, but then like with the DOFs and stuff, it's like it's a copy and paste job. And the SRO thing, I think of all the fleet stuff, that was the best thing. But then you look at the Admiralty cards, and it's like, especially what he said specifically with how many times do you need to use it to recoup the resources. If you've got that kind of dilithium sitting around, you're probably better off getting just tier 1 through tier 4 ships to get their cards for much cheaper. And then at some point you have enough cards that you just don't need anymore. It's like, I don't need any Admiralty cards. I can keep all my Admiralty maxed out with the cards I already have. So I have, unless it's going to give me, unless the Admiralty card says, oh, plus you get bonus resources or something, what can they possibly offer me? I don't need them.
Yeah, no, there's the mixed what? I think, again, for the Admiralty stuff, I have characters that have 1,000 Admiralty ships. That's just because of the one-time use I get for rewards. I just use the same ships, and I just do it once a day. But I do know people who have mentioned that they make it, that they have, do it more times than day than once. I will address that one comment on YouTube. Merc Star, he wasn't just asking, he was making it sound like people who do Admiralty are low lives. Now, for me personally, I've already said this on stream many times, I just do it because it's a wind down for me. It's probably my OCD kicking just cuz. And I'm not going to deny what it's helped me to gain over the years. If they decide to nerf it, I mean, Spencer asked me this, would I keep doing it? It depends. Am I still going to get something from it. But then that's going to bring us to the next sort of, and kind of one of the last things we're going to talk about is the Dilex. So the Dilex state is ridiculous. 10 mil. I haven't checked it since last night, but or 2 nights ago, but it's over 10 mil. And for me, again, for how I play, I want to get the resources so that I can get the ships, so that I can fly it the way I do, and play Star Trek Online. I've mentioned this before to a comment that Bordicus made on stream, that there's just way too much dilithium out there, but they keep giving us dilithium. So, and then they've already made 2 changes, right? The Phoenix prize pack and the rep deal that you get from getting tier 5, but they haven't really necessarily done anything else with it. So one of the things that I know is not going to be popular is they have to maybe cut the rewards in half or something. They've done that already before, correct if I'm wrong, Spencer. They've already adjusted the dilithium rewards you get from like missions, and I think from
Yes.
right, and then of course doing the events now on just one character as opposed to all of your characters. So that has made an effect. But the thing is, personally, with all the lithium I'm sitting on, I have nothing to spend it on. I really don't. What would I want to spend it on? Ship skins, traits, consoles, costumes, things you can, and you can put that in the Phoenix prize pack. I don't care how you do it, but they have to do it because how are you going to have 10 mil and just keep pumping out ships when every time you put a ship out, lockbox or whatever, it just keeps jacking it up? And they even said with this new fleet stuff, they know it's not gonna tickle the Dilex. So they're aware. And I think you and I, Mixed have had a conversation of this, right? Like, it's benefiting them, right? And to not really do much. And I get it. I've always said that, Stro has to make money so that we can keep playing it, enjoying it. But there also has to be some sort of, again, like from what you said, we're the customer. If you keep pushing the buttons, how much longer will you have customers? And I think for me personally, with the Dilex at the state it's at, they need to, whether it's a FOMO where you did, like with the vanity shields, I think you mentioned this before, Spencer, too. When they first came out, they did dent the Dilex, but not by much. Because, but then after the second, third time, it didn't do anything anymore. Because why? Well, people got whatever they had.
Here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You remember it was just earlier this year that they removed the reputation to lithium, right? That was this year, right?
Yep.
You guys notice how that had basically no impact on the Dilex?
Nope. Did absolutely nothing. It did nothing because they're still giving us event rewards that are what, like 25k or 50k. I think it's just 25k, and then of course you can keep doing it afterwards. Yep. And if you have nothing to spend it on, we're gonna have a lot of delivering sound. So I guess for me personally, I would like to see those things I said, again, ship skins per character, doesn't have to be account, or the ability to buy account unlock ships or something. I don't know, but something to use the lithium on. I don't have anything to use it on personally at this moment, and I'd like to see that in ability to do so.
There has to be some sort of system in the game that requires it on a regular basis in order to keep that under control, because anything else that they do is only going to be a momentary kind of fix to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much the gold sellers have to do with it. Spencer might have a little more info on that, because
before you go too further, could any console players in chat just say what the Dilex value is over on console? I'm just curious, like, what the ratio is, where it's at right now.
340, I think the last time I saw it.
But continue, so I'll talk about my reasoning for that when I go.
So, because I'm assuming that the gold sellers have that big of an impact on the Dilex, because really they only need EC to get keys in order to open boxes and have ships to sell. I'm sure there's a reason that they would need Zen, in order to get those accounts set up and all those kinds of things. But if Cryptic cracks down on that, I think that would be big. I'm not so fond of, because here's the problem. Triz is sitting on more than he has, than he can use. I'm sitting on enough for the things I need right now, but I regularly run out, especially if I'm, kitting out a new ship or a new tune or whatever, and I need upgrades and stuff. And there's people that play, much less than I do. And if you nerf the ability for people to be able to get as much, average just people, you're going to find new players and things like that just being so behind without prices changing, right? There's got to be, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. There has to be something that people just want so bad, and there's continual new things added to it, where we'll continue to buy. I think costumes is a big one. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you look at a game like SWTOR, furniture and costumes. That's I mean, that's everything on the exchange. It's everything you pay for with money, and they make millions of dollars from just that. And Stowe has a really in-depth, tailor those kinds of things. I don't know how hard it is to make that stuff, but I'm really kind of tired of hearing that, it's hard, or we're understaffed, or this or that. I mean, hire more people, and at least this is a subject where, at least they're acknowledging there's a problem, because, we talk about a lot of other issues and things like that, but I've come to believe on most of those other issues, they don't believe there's a problem. It's really just kind of stuff we would like to see changed in a game that we play all the time. But they need to come up with some sort of a system that either, incentivizes you, makes it, mandatory, or, requires dilithium in order to progress through it long term, in order to really kind of keep that under control. I think anything else they do, like these, like you guys said, the vanity shield sale or whatever, I mean, it's just momentary. The fleet stuff, again, that could have worked better, but they didn't offer stuff that we're want. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I mean, I don't use it. If it exchange, I don't know. I spend all my day in games, so I mean, I really don't use it.
Vince?
I would say that gold sellers and botting has a much larger impact than anyone really realizes with this. So I know of just one person that has 1,000 characters that have been, for the last couple of years, just doing constant Admiralty, just being botted. Now imagine that this individual is printing 100 billion EC a month through what they were doing. And this was back, these figures are from 2020, so they probably have grown much further than that since then. 100 billion EC a month, and then we get into the lithium. How much impact does one person have if this one individual has 1,000 characters refining 8,000 lithium a day? That is 8 million refined lithium a day. Now, you see these big jumps up on the Dilex every couple months. You see we just had this one go from 8 mil backlog to 10 mil over the course of like 2 to 3 days. That's one person, most likely, going through and doing like a quarterly dump of their account with all those bots. Think of, that's 1 billion dilithium in 3 days that was suddenly listed up to convert to Zen. And that was a normal jump compared to most of the regular weekends where it would go up by like 1 to 200K. Just suddenly 2 million Zen worth in the course of 3 days. That's not a player, that is a bot farm doing their quarterly conversion. And I think that just cryptic, not caring about that, not dealing with it, is why we've gotten to the point we're at. Because look, consoles got the same situation going on. They've got the same game we play. Yes, there's less players, but their Dilex 280. In fact, in chat here, it was what did I see? Like 265 is what Roland said. Yeah. 265 on Xbox, so it's actually down from what Cables was saying. Like, Xbox doesn't have hundreds or thousands of characters botting Admiralty like PC does. And that's just the latest method people are using to get large amounts of dilithium on PC. There's how many accounts from way back that that abused the Foundry exploits from when Foundry initially came out, and they were sitting on like 10 million unrefined for years. And it took them years to refine all that. So there are accounts sitting on hundreds of millions of dilithium, but they're not your average day-to-day players at this point.
So it sounds
people.
like that's a huge contributor to what's causing these problems that they're going around in circles trying to fix. We're complaining about. Why won't they address that then, if that is one of the largest issues that is causing these problems?
Those accounts buy out the entire C-store with real money. Every
Videographer,
time a new
so
account
much.
is being made for that, they're buying out all the character slots. They're buying out every ship to get every Admiralty card from the C-store. And I think, those accounts, the people running them are going to be smart enough to have them on different computers, using VPNs, different IPs. The people running that stuff aren't going to have it all where it's showing up as like 50 accounts from the same, IP address or off the same computer.
Thank you again, videographer. Appreciate that.
I think that's why you saw Bordicus tweet, about Admiralty the other day. He's finally looking at some of these still sources, and he's realizing Admiralty is a big thing. And then you specifically look at the text he's asking, and he's asking about people who only play Admiralty and don't play any other content on their characters. That's not your average day-to-day player outside of Triz.
Hey,
most people are doing other things other than Admiralty.
I haven't touched it in months.
I haven't touched it in last night.
Admiral, okay? He's just.
There's a lot of ships that need to be sent out, okay?
But there's definitely other issues, like there obviously needs to be DIL syncs added in. The Endeavor system, like we talked about earlier, that'd be a great way. But no matter what, they're nerfing these things that players do, and it's having no impact. The rep DIL is something that I know a lot of people went out and did.
Oof.
We all know a lot of people that did that on a very regular basis, and it had no impact on the Dilex. None. How many people, when you look at how many people were doing the reputation stuff on new characters, they'd get DIL, delete the character, and restart. You saw a ton of people doing that. Now, how many people do you see doing Admiralty 24/7? To that level, to that time investment that they would put into characters, playing content, grinding up reps. You don't see it.
DIL into low buy would be nice too.
You just don't see it at all.
No. Gauss, sir?
So this whole thing kind of reminds me of a David Cross joke where he's talking about airlines and how they would ask you to give up your frequent flyer miles for sick kids. And it's like, well, aren't frequent flyer miles just kind of monopoly money made up by the airlines anyway? Can't you just give seats to sick kids if that's really what you care about? And it's like the whole Dilex thing is like, it's something they made up. Like, it's not some force of nature or some mandate by the government that you have to have an exchange for people to trade currencies. If they really cared so much about making the exchange rate go down, they can just print money, so to speak. They can just buy the dilithium off the Dilex and make the rate go down. But they won't do that because it's really about making dilithium just one more thing that you can buy with Zen so that they can make money off of it. But rather than doing it in a more modern way where you would, because this is, a lot of games have these, especially these kind of like, I don't want to say scammy games, have these intermediate currencies. You have the cash only currency, which is the Zen. You have the free to play currency, which is the EC. And then you have the in between currency, which is dilithium in this game. And it's like, but normally they would just give whales the option to just buy it with cash, and they don't in this game. Instead, you buy it from the free-to-play players, and that makes sense on paper because it allows the free-to-play players to get the cash currency, whereas other games would just give you, like, you would have events and stuff. Stowe has always been one of these games where the events give you specific prizes, and they do have the event campaign now, but even the event campaign doesn't give you Zen. So they never want to give a free-to-play player cash currency. The best you can do is to trade for it with this, intermediate free-to-play currency. And it's like they keep wringing their hands and saying, well, we don't know what to do, we've tried all this stuff. And it's like it's a problem they've created, and there are obvious and easy solutions. If they really cared about making the Dilex function properly, they could just do it like in a day. They just won't.
No, I agreed. I think for them to change it, they'd have to do so much drastic things, and it sounds like Shadow mentioned there that there was someone that they caught or something. So I don't know how easily you can trace this problem of botting. I know Spencer has mentioned to me like a bunch of times for that. It's just a newer player starting would be very hard again to close that gap or to get anything for Dill if the exchange is that high. Because I came into the game, I think it was like I also want to say back in 2014 that I won something 150 or something.
I would say that given my past experiences and knowledge on previous exploits or botting issues, unless things are literally handed to them, they're probably not going to find it on their own. Biggest example is going to be the Orion Slaver issue with the KDF Foundry. The only reason that was ever found is because I ended up telling Jed about it in a TeamSpeak call one night when we were just talking about things, and as soon as they found out about it, that within a week that was patched out of the game. But they had known that there was something on the KDF side causing a massive amount of contraband to be input to the market, and they couldn't figure it out. And the issue was that there was the Orion Slavers over in the KDF Foundry had their original pre-nerf values. So they would farm contraband at the original rate when they were put into the game, and not the heavily nerfed value that Cryptic had later put them to. So they would stack like stacks of contraband that they would just farm it like 20. You could have them in there and farm stacks and stacks of contraband each day. And Cryptic couldn't figure out the source. It was only when it was literally handed to them that they found out about it.
And I'll just say one last thing. I agree with what Gauss said. There are like immediate fixes they could do tomorrow that they're unwilling to do because of the way that they monetize the game. And it really, I mean, everything that we talk about is really limited by that scope and the way that this game is monetized, right? So we're looking at what are other dill sinks. I've been really thinking about this a lot lately, and I'm having to try and think of things that would be useful that people would spend dilithium on and doesn't interfere with something that they already sell or might sell at some point, right? Because that's really that is really kind of the crux of the matter, is the way that they monetize the game doesn't allow them to go and fix some of these problems that we have, particularly with the Dill exchange, which Gauss is right, they could fix it tomorrow if they want to, but they won't, because that interferes with the way that the game is monetized.
And yes, we know the game has to make money, and we're not against that. It's just I think
have to make money. Yeah. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just kind of just throwing that out there for the context of a lot of these discussions.
Yeah, no, we know if this game wasn't making money, we wouldn't have Stowe, right? We wouldn't have been able to do our space bar, but whatever it is your end game is, however you play it, we won't have it. It's just, it would be nice if there was balance and done at a speed where and it makes us, like what you said, makes to us customers feel that we're, you know, we're valued customers, right? And a lot of us spend a lot of our time playing this game, spending our real life resources or time just trying to sort of support, let's say, you know, so we can keep on doing this. I think we try to, you know, be as positive as we can, but then sometimes it's just, you can't just overlook things when, you know, they are. Again, I have my own ways of playing, so do you guys, so do you, Caps, as well. And I think as much as I do love this game, you know, overall, and I'm just gonna leave it on this before I give you guys a final word here. Overall, this content drop for me, again, is it's about a C plus, if anything. I'm and what's bringing it up is the voice actors and all that featured episode, some of the items, some of the changes, but there is still some things that they need to work on to make it healthy, not only for older players, but also newer players. Because with all this new content drop, you're going to always have that influx of new players. You want to keep them here, but you also want to not make them feel like it's such a huge mountain to climb to catch up with the, you know, the older players. So again, personally, again, I'll leave it up to you in the same order there, McStud, Spence, and Gauss. For me, it's a C plus-ish at best when it comes to this new content drop, and I hope that in the next year, let's say in the next year, they come up with solutions to make it fair across the board, and that comes either in the Dilex, the nerfing of stuff, adjusting of stuff. They just make it fair, you know. Just that's all I want. Thank you all. Thanks, Shrek. I appreciate that. McStud?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what grade to give it. You know, there are some good stuff, some super exciting stuff for me with the SROs. There was some stuff I don't care. There was an extreme negative with the nerf, and the nerf was that has happened before. This is the first time it's affected me, and you know, to be fair, that's why I'm even more outraged. But I haven't had to think about it before, you know, and the more that I think about it, you know, and I won't go back all over the whole thing, but it's not about the nerf. It's not about the balancing, which has to be done. It's about the way that things are done. And so that for me really kind of offset it. So, I mean, whatever a middle grade is, you know, like, you know, the sideways thumb, I don't know what that would be. That's what I would give it. What I'd really like to see them do, and I'll just finish off with this, is they need to come up with a way to engage the player base, not just us on Twitch and YouTube, but just they have to find a way to send out questionnaires to people's emails. You know, ask, you know, on Twitch, ask on YouTube. They can do polls on their own channels. They'll get tons. I put out polls, I get 1,000, you know, people responding to them within a week in some cases. They can do polls on their YouTube channel. They need to engage with their communities and find out what do players want, and look at what things that, you know, players want align with things that they can do and will solve problems or make the game better. They, you know, they're doing things that, you know, they were hoping would make, you know, the deal exchange better, for instance, and, you know, the mechanics are there to add them to do it, and, you know, the pricing's there, they can, you know, adjust all of that. But the disconnect is they have no idea what we want. They have no idea what we want and what we're willing to buy and pay for it. And if they could just get that part of it fixed, find out what the players are asking for, and then give the players what they're asking for and charge them whatever it is, you know, that would go a long way to just being able to take care of a lot of these problems that they're trying to address, especially again, like the deal exchange. And you could say that about anything else too, even if it's, you know, cash items, whatever. You know, find out what players are looking for, because I think it's pretty clear that they don't know very well what we're looking for. I mean, obviously, if a new hero ship comes out on screen, people are going to want that, right? It's a no duh kind of thing. But, you know, they have to make a lot more stuff than just hero ships. And if they just find a way to engage, pull the community, and find out what players want, I think that they could really kind of just turn this thing around and just make it even, you know, better than it is, better than it ever has been before.
I would rate this content drop as an F. It I think, to me, like, and I haven't played the new story mission. I haven't played the new TFO, so I don't know exactly how those are. But given how things were addressed in this content drop, the underwhelming lockbox, I just do not think that this was a good content drop. I think, if anything, this content drop has only made people frustrated, especially with the way that they've handled things, like Stu was saying. We didn't even talk about how Bordicus was talking on Twitter about the Admiralty stuff. Like, he was saying, basically that it's our fault, for the Dilex, for using Admiralty to get lithium and making the Dilex situation worse because of that. He was blaming players, essentially, with how he worded things. He did walk a little bit of that back, but the tone there, again, like with what Stu was saying earlier with Kale about the Agony console, the tone was just very disrespectful towards their customers. As general, I just, the past couple of weeks have shown to me just how severely disconnected they are. Not even, with regards to what Stu was saying about knowing what we want. They don't even understand, the performance of the things that they're putting into the game. They don't understand how the game is played anymore. That they need people internally that do more than just play the story missions. They need people internally that understand how people are building when they're going into TFOs and actual endgame content. They need people in general that understand the builds that players use, because you shouldn't have your lead system developer needing to go on Twitter to ask for unconventional systems builds. There's things that they should be able to know internally that clearly they're lacking. So, if anything, like I said, it's an F for me, because it's just shown the disconnect, just the level it's at, and has left me with very little confidence about, especially systems related topics or their QA, for any future content drops. I just have no faith in them anymore. Gauss?
Yeah, I mean, both of you guys kind of, touched on the idea that they just are kind of out of touch and don't really know what they're doing in terms of, developing stuff that the players actually want. And I agree with that. So instead of harping on that, I guess I would say, maybe to add a positive-ish lining, is that there was at least quantity, if not quality. There was a new lockbox, which we haven't had in a while, that had plenty of stuff in it. It had ground stuff. It had multiple traits. We had the fleet stuff, the SROs, a mission, a TFO, an event ship. Like, there is just a lot of stuff recently. So at least from that point of view, they are putting out things. But I do think there is some general incompetence across the board at Cryptic, and it definitely shows. And so, yeah, it's not even quantity over quality, because even though it's a big content drop right now, it'll be months until we get something else again. So it's you wait a long time, then you get some stuff, then you wait a long time again, and you'd think it would be more polished than this. When I was rereading, I should say, the announcement for the lockbox, I noticed a couple of names on there I didn't see before. So maybe they are hiring more people and stuff. I don't know. Maybe there are some changes going on. Normally I see just Bordicus listed on that stuff, and I saw a couple of names on there I hadn't noticed before. So who knows what the future will bring. Maybe they are finally starting to recuperate some of the staff losses from the Magic the Gathering game. It's hard to be optimistic, but if you're the kind of person who enjoyed the actual story content and the TFO, then this probably wasn't a bad content cycle for you. And there's a free ship that people weren't expecting. But the yeah, there's just on the technical side of things, the console nerfs. It's not good. So if you're a casual player, I think that the content cycle here was good for you. If you're a more serious player, I think it's very disappointing.
Wow. No, and you know, I appreciate your guys' feedback as always. Now I know I'm not trying to rush you guys out. I know, Gauss, that's late for you, and I know because of the time we start here, I know that especially with your new job there. So I'd like to take this time and thank you, Gauss, McStud, or Spencer. I know it's past your bedtime too. I appreciate the honesty, and this is why we do this, because you know there is 4 different perspectives here, and you know hopefully you know Tumor Boy made an appearance, and hopefully he can maybe take some of this info back. And it's not to take away from any of the work that he's done, because you know he has nothing to do with system development. But you know, McStud said earlier that new mission, the inside of V'ger, that was beautiful. It's awesome. Yep. It actually, you kind of feel the mood that you're in there, and you know, but it's what we want is more of a, like what McStud said, a community sort of discussion maybe to be had and opened up to the devs, polls. I don't know how that's going to look like, but something like that. So again, McStud, Spencer, Gauss, thank you so much for staying up this late. I know we're trying to keep it earlier next time or around the same time. If you have to go, I don't blame you. Dang it, Spencer.
Oh, Satan, brother. Oh, that was a terrible one.
That was pretty bad. You can never get that. You can never get that new one. That one that actually we let on the channel. That was
it was a very deep hail. I can't even do the voice right now. It's because I've been talking too much.
No, and again, I appreciate it. And no, captains, we will try to do this again, probably when there is some major changes, so that we can again discuss here on the bridge. But yeah, you guys are more than welcome to just stay here. I'm just gonna go read back in some of the comments here. Let's see here.
I think I'm gonna have to tap out, but thanks for having me. I always enjoy it. Being part of the Avengers here. So looking forward to the next one, and thanks again for having me. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, yes, Gauss, thanks for stopping by, man. And I just want to say quickly to Mercstar, that's just absolutely fucking disgusting.
What?
Never say that again.
Have a good night, Gauss.
Jeez, I gave him 1 per hour.
You see what he said?
He really used it. I'm gonna actually have to caveat that next time with that little sign language.
If Spencer was the lead designer, there'd be a new trait called Hail Satan.
What?
To use beam overload because it's so OP. I just terrible.
Yeah, that was good.
I like the first part, but the second part, I can't. No, that's terrifying.
Watch, when they make it meta, he'll be the first one though lined up to do it.
Yeah, I mean, but
see,
Cannon Scatter Volley is just so good for duo. There's no competition. McStud is Tony Stark.
I mean, it's there. Again, Gosser, thank you so much, and again, good congrats on the new job.
Thank you.
I don't know about you guys, Spencer, McStud, how are you guys here for time?
I think McStew wanted to do an announcement for his new OnlyFans account.
I'm gonna save that for next time, actually. Teaser.
Remember, guys, I already have tier 3. What? Hence that picture that we used.
Something wrong with Tris.
No, it's not. Again, captains, I do appreciate, we have been reading them, and again, thank you very much, Videographer, and all things for those super chats.
Really trying to not be too negative about things, but it's just hard with this content drop. They really screwed up a lot of things.
Again, it's very, And someone was mentioning it earlier, you know, I'm trying to be nice. I'm not. Again, I am going off of how I play, right? There's things that did not affect me, but again, I understand the points that yourself and Mixstud bring out there with the whole costing, you know, buying things for a specific reason for that, right? And then all of a sudden it being just nerfed to oblivion, like to oblivion, literally. Where are you going, Spencer? What are you doing?
Look at your screen.
Why did you?
Look at your stream. I'm like cut off. I'm cut in half.
Gauss left.
Oh,
Here, just leave it. I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
that's right. I'm just trying to push.
Oh, I can't invite anybody else, can I?
It's okay. I'll I can fix that quickly. I think, right? Oh yes, I can. There you go. See? Ah, look at that. Why do you have to? Oh, gee, that made it like a. Gee, Spencer, like.
I'm watching Trish just like struggle to try and get this.
It is a struggle. Okay.
Are you gonna try to cut off the hail seat?
I was trying to.
You son of.
What? Excuse me, sir.
What? Well, I didn't say the full thing.
I know you didn't.
Actually, every time I say SOB, remember it's just a character of mine, so I'm not actually swearing. I'm just, you know, saying one of my character's names.
Oh.
While you're working that out, I'm gonna grab some water. I will be
Yeah.
right back.
Definitely.
So, yeah, can we talk about elitism?
Well, yeah, and maybe that's one of the reasons why, you know, that I don't try to push Spencer off the stream. The whole thing when it comes to, okay, so again, I'm going to bring this out, and it'll always depend on how you play the game, right? There's no right or wrong way to play it, and I've always been against those people who speak down to people trying to enjoy the game the way they do. I think many of, you know, content creators like yourself, Spencer, has mentioned, you know, as long as you're getting through the content that, you know, that you play, that is, you know, the more important thing. And I haven't seen that lately. I mean, it gets trolled at me, and that's fine. I don't really care what anyone says about how I play the game, and I have no sort of shame in putting out the type of things that are fun to me. So for the most part, what do you do? I'll face palm you, sir. Jeez. He put that there in his thing. So when it comes to the whole, you know, I've said it before, I dabble. Okay, I dabble, but I haven't dabbled in that chasing of DPS in a long time. But I've been enjoying the game even more so, especially in this last 2 weeks when we were doing that series that we just did off in the YouTube channel. That was super fun. That was absolutely hilarious. The feedback from, you know, like-minded captains is what I've been looking for, and that's who I've been wanting to share it with is, and it's kept me engaged, you know, and whatever keeps you engaged still, that's fine, right? Do you boo? That is essentially what we always promote here. That's what I always say. And if DPS is your thing, go at it. Ground spar, map breaking id, that's your thing. You know, sometimes I join you, and those are absolutely hilarious and fun. So id, I'm gonna owe you that 5,000 Hammer farewell on the next, because we're on YouTube. So
I did have somebody just send me a DM, and they told me that the reason they play is to see how many AFK penalties they can distribute per hour.
sounds like you. Are you sure
And
you're
they
just saying
asked if we were
somebody?
gonna add. They asked if we would add a table for it to the parser.
That's mean. That's sort of mean.
That is
Yes, I
mean.
did. Mean, not meme. Mean.
Yeah, it was very mean. It was cables. I don't know if Cables is still here, but I completely...
I've been different you for the economic problems. Oh man, Chiz enjoys doing 62 Admiralty. No, I only do 10. Rabog. 11. But then I split them up sometimes.
The stuff I was talking about with like 1,000 characters on a bot farm, that's definitely not a thing. You guys don't have to worry about that. That's definitely not something out there.
Talking about
There's no players running bot farms that are printing 8 million dilithium a day. That's fake news.
Now you're trying to bring it back?
That's their 2020 numbers, by the way.
Now you're trying to bring that back?
They've increased it since then.
Fix Mixstud here. Mixstud! It's the Mixstud mapping. There you go. So yeah, no, we are gonna, unless Mixstud had something else to add, or actually, you know what? Why don't you guys plug in what you guys are working on for you guys' YouTube channel or Twitch, whatever.
I in the short term am going to be doing build videos on the event ship. So I'm going to start with free to play, mid tier, and then super high end. That's what I got coming up, and then whatever news comes up, and then whatever other random ideas. It's most of the videos I sit down. I mean, some of them like I'll think of, and I'm like, okay, I need to do this, but I'm not somebody that is working other than the demo record stuff. I'm not someone that's working on videos for days or anything like that. Most of my videos are all recorded, edited, and uploaded all in one sitting. So the ideas are not too far off from that, at least the time frames of coming up with them. But that's what I got for the next probably week or two, is mainly going to be the news, whatever else that pops up, and builds for the new event ship.
Nice.
I'm starting a new series on YouTube going over and exposing the other STO content creators, and I'm starting with you.
Me?
You elitist son of a bitch. I know about you and you've secretly got a 2 mil plus record. You were at the top of the table and you had me take the parse down.
Whoa. Sir.
You had me tune the number down so it was only 1.7. Secretly, you were above me at 2.7, but you had me remove a whole million DPS from your parse, and I'm going to be exposing that to everyone.
I dare you. You know why? Because that's not true. I'd like to see you come up with this sort of phantom number that I did. No, it's not going to happen. The truth comes. No, Waldo, you actually believe Spencer. No.
That person that was messaging me asking about an AFK penalties given per hour table, that was Triz. When he's not streaming, when he is not streaming, he is going out with his uber deeps build, and he is going into randoms, and he is giving out AFK penalties left and right.
Torps in the front and all.
Funny how I saw some torps in your app there on your Somerville there, Mr. Mixstud. I would have gotten slapped for that.
But really, I don't know. I've got videos that I want to get caught up on. I'm starting a new series, and the videos in that series are going to be members exclusive for the first couple of weeks as I develop the series. And it's going to be going from 0 EC up to like 1.5 billion.
Ooh.
So I'm not going to release any of the series until I've got all of the videos recorded, though. Just because whatever methods I use in the video are not going to work for people trying to copy. In fact, I did a members only video about a DOF pack you can get to get EC. And that video, which went out to that smaller audience, caused enough people to go out and destroy the market, basically. So some of these EC generation methods do not work for more than a couple people doing them. And that's why it's hard to show some of them to a wider audience. So whatever ones that I show off in that video are very likely not going to work for anyone trying to copy. And they suck to do. Ask Stu there. He's seen what opening DOF packs is like.
Never doing it again.
Never again. No, I think personally just like with all of us here, that we do sort of drop our own ECs when it comes to the new stuff and giving our perspective on that. That's always going to be a thing. But also, like I said, I still have 3-4 thumbnails that I made back in April that are still ready to do. But I will say the Star Trek Day Tribute series that I just finished off there with the Cerritos today was absolutely a blast. And we're going to continue with Hurting Spencer. Continue with those types of sort of videos, because those are the types of things that just make it fun for me. And I'm very humbled and with the comments that I have received in those. So thank you, captains, if you're watching this now and or have watched them and or will be watching this. Thank you. That's appreciative that you got what we were trying to do. And, I think with that, we've sort of showed that you don't need to do that, that much DACA to enjoy the content, because I was having fun. Yes?
I'll be honest with you, I don't really care what builds people do. What I care about is what items they're putting on their build, because the thing that I focus on in the game is the market, and I want to make sure that they're buying the shit that I have up on the exchange to put on their build. That's my priority.
Okay.
I don't care what they're doing. I'm not going to play with them. I basically, at this point, if I do not have a team of what I believe are competent players, I will solo the content or I just won't play it. I don't pug. I don't do like random channel ISEs or HSEs or whatever, because the people in there are just low deeps and don't understand how to work in a team environment, and I just don't enjoy that. So I don't really care what you do with your build. Just make sure you're buying the 42s, the 47s that I've got posted up at budget prices on the exchange.
Never gonna buy them, sir. Personally, sorry, never gonna buy them. You know why? I'm never gonna buy them. Because
they're for America Worker and you use Pilot.
I actually don't use Pilot. I want to be Carrier, and you let players master low deeps. Yes, I am carried. Sure, yeah. If that's what anyone wants to believe, that I just want to be carried, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But really, my goal and aim is just to have fun. That's it. Whatever that is, it's just to have fun, and to. Oh, Spencer, he's talking to you.
Oh no, I will solo content if I don't have a team, so I'm perfectly fine of doing it on my own. It's just I don't like to go in and carry a team that is contributing as much to the match as my hanger pets.
Oh.
So I would rather be the only one in there and get the reward for myself without, carrying and giving it to others. I'm a selfish elitist prick like that. I don't talk about it. Stu hears he's the most elitist. Don't let him fool you. He's the most elitist around here, though.
Closet.
He's a closet elitist, exactly. He knows.
See, look, he's smiling. Because I remember when you got that record. Remember,
Chris is also a closet
What is an
elitist.
elitist?
Spencer is a good example. That's just
We've already had this conversation.
and Spencer is a great example. Mixed stew. Okay, I'm not gonna even read that.
Stu is a pole elitist.
I don't even. But unless you.
Stu just AFK in the corner.
I
In the
mean,
colony sims. Terrible Stu.
the McWhale, yeah. That sounds like a good burger at McDonald's. I'm hungry now.
Now, everyone in this call is a very elitist person, except Gauss. He's an engineer, man, and he's not here, so he can't defend himself anymore.
Wow. Jeez, sir. Okay, well, before
I get myself in too much
Spencer's
trouble.
elitism is really leaking out there. But
Gushing.
no, it's like just coming out there again. Instead, Spencer, thank you.
Hail Satan, brother.
Stop it. Stop it. I appreciate it. I really do. And I think the next one will probably be, you know, whenever something else comes out that we can sort of complain / talk, discuss about.
Oh, well, don't worry, man. There's going to be another content drop in February or late January.
Oh, there's still third and fourth quarter, so I know there's going to be more.
Oh, well, you're right. We've
There's
got a
third and
couple new
fourth
lock
quarter.
boxes coming out over the next couple of months, and we've got the winter ship coming out, right? So it's going to be huge.
Hear more about mixed stew? No, we don't need to hear about that.
I hope it's another OP ship for the winter.
Oh, dude, I want to see 2 OP for free. What is it? Is it version 3 or 2 or 3?
2.0.
2.0. Damn right, brother. That's that first one. That blew my mind seeing that.
Jeez. Okay. So, Caps, we're gonna call here. It is 12 my time, and again, it was really fun to discuss this as usual. I appreciate everyone stopping by, both on the YouTube and Twitch bridge. Of course, Captains, you'll get your sound commands back tomorrow night. You can tell they're like itching to just troll me with everything. But again, I personally will call it here too as well. We're gonna do a raid here on the Twitch, so McStud, Spencer, you're more welcome to stay along. We're going to see who we can say go say hi to.
Let's see. Whoever you raid, make sure that they don't have like balanced weapon power or balanced power settings. That's the worst thing you could ever possibly do.
Thank you for having me, and good night to everybody on YouTube and Twitch.
Yes, thank you for having me, and buy all the things I said to buy, please.
All right, guys. Thank you. All right, let us do this. I still had Gauss up there. Again, Captain, I owe you. Okay. Merkstar, thank you so much for the follow there. I appreciate it. Here on the YouTube, Twitch bridge, Twitch. Again, I appreciate it. Don't raid. Well, you know, console players are also. I've been raided with people who don't, so I just try to spread the love around, because regardless of where you play, PC, console, it doesn't matter. You are supporting the game, and we're just trying to spread the love around. So let's see here. Let's see who we don't know, and that's what we'll do. But to speak more on, I think tomorrow we should be back tomorrow, barring anything. And again, for the YouTube stuff, that series was super fun. I think I already had a suggestion there. Yes, but you don't. Well, I can't really vet people, so it is what it is. They are supporting Star Trek Online by playing it and trying to stream it, so why not give them a... And I actually, the reason why I do that too, I received many thank yous, and I've met many people that way. Either I raid them or they raided me, and you know, it's I still try to just pass on the support that has been shown here. So console players for people too, I know. So again, Captain, thank you so much. I really do. Thank you. I really am appreciative. I know that it may seem that a lot of the comments made towards me are somewhat negative, but I would like to think they're out of place out of love. If not, then it's okay. I will still do the Triz stuff, and if I can take some of you captains down with me, I will do that. So you end up sending us to who hasn't paying attention and understand. Yes, we troll you because we love you. Well, I hope so. But anyways, captains, again, thank you so much. I see someone here playing, looks like they're PC, so why don't we send the love there? Look out for more of these Strocasts that we do here, because they're very fun to do. and it engages the, it makes us engage in conversation, and there'll be a lot more to discuss. Hopefully we have more stories to go through and more pretty ships to come along, and hopefully they'll give us easier ways and all of us easier access to getting them. So on that note, Caps, we will leave it on this. Good night. I love you all.
Live long and prosper.